everyone, there's a software I've been using for years called Scrivener to help me write my novel, and it's helpful for writers, but it does have a learning curve. So what I'm going to do is in this video I'm going to show you how to get started with Scrivener. Now Scrivener has a lot of templates you can choose from, and let's just quickly go through them all. So they've got their own sort of tutorial here, but not everyone likes to read, especially if you're dyslexic. They've got a couple of video ones as well. And here are all the different templates you could do as a writer. This looks kind of overwhelming, so let's just do it by category instead. Fiction, you can tell them that you're writing a novel. If you're a NaNoWriMo writer, there's a specific template you can download. You do have to download it from Google, whichever browser you use. So there's two novel ones. A novel that is by chapter, so chapters 1 to 20, like I was going to say Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings is more the part 1. Game of Thrones would be more the novel one, whereas Lord of the Rings, where it's got book 1 and book 2 for the first book, and then book 3 and 4 for the second book. That's more for the part 1, but it doesn't really matter because you can actually change any of these templates. And then you've got the short story, which probably wouldn't be broken down into different parts. Then you have non-fiction, which essays essentially. I haven't actually really used any of these because I prefer to actually use Google Drive when I'm doing my essays. But there's Essay Chicago Style. I don't know what Chicago Style is. We don't really use that in the UK. Then we have general non-fiction. So I'd suppose if he's doing a self-help book or a history book, a factual history book. Then there's latex. Again, I don't really understand that. That's not something we tend to use in the UK that I'm aware of. Then you could do an essay using paper APA. One using MLA. Now I have used both of these, I think. Definitely use APA, that's the most common one in the UK. Research proposal, so that comes in handy again if you're doing your masters, your sort of research project for your undergrad, your dissertation. And then you have your undergraduate humanities essay, which I don't really understand the difference between any of these, to be honest. They all sound the same to me, but again, I don't really use Scrivener for an essay. Look at the other ones. Screenwriting, you can do radio writing. Now if you're doing a screenplay, I would personally say use other software, because other software has autofill where they will enter the scene for you. Same with theatre. I'd probably use other software. My particular favourite is Final Draft, but that's expensive. There's free ones that do exactly the same as Final Draft. Radio play, it's very hard to get the format, and as far as I have seen so far, no other software actually has a good template for radio play. So if you are doing radio play or taped drama, I would use Scrivener. And then you've got these ones that come under miscellaneous, which is a very hard word for me to say. And you can do something like a recipe collection, a poem, persuasive lecture. So for a PowerPoint, I'd imagine you'd probably use that one for. But what we're focusing on is novel writing. So let's open one for novel. And it will open up this for you, which is the template. And with this, you have the binder, which tells you all the different files you've got. You have what they call the inspector, which has the synopsis for you, the notes. You have the lot of different bookmark sections, your metadata. I actually really like this camera. It lets you create a frozen history. So if I clicked that, it would create a frozen history for this particular bit novel format, and I'd be able to go between the two. So let's just have a quick play with that. So that's the original, and then if I just like that and did again, you'd be able to see the difference here in this little bit here. So this is the original, the new one, saved at 142, and then the one that was saved before that, you can see is different. And then you can click roll back and it will change it for you, creating another snapshot. There's also a compare. And it tells you what the difference is by crossing that out. The main part though would be the manuscript. And as it says here, that you can have the chapter and the scene. So chapter 1, Red Riding Hood at home. And here is where you put the action. So you don't really put the action here, although you can do. I actually use this to put dates for my current one. So let's put, for example, let's do a modern version of Little Red Riding Hood 2024. And let's put today's date, because why not? But in my historical one, this instead of 2024 would be 1743 at the minute. And then let's jump to, oh, did I have that grouped? Yep, I had that grouped. So I'll explain about groups in a minute, but let's just move that here. And I'm just going to do a bit of typing here. So I now have a scene of something that's happening. A lot of the time my scenes are much longer than this. They can be a couple of hundred words to about 1,000. But for this one I'm keeping it short, so we've got 62 words in this particular scene. Little Red Riding Hood's not happy being asked to take her nan a basket of food. And then that's not the end of the chapter though, it'd be a very short chapter if it was. So we go to a new scene where her mother says yes. So now we have two scenes. We have the first scene where Little Red is given the basket, and the second scene was just sort of pushed out the door. Not perfect, but I'm only just doing it for the tutorial, so that's fine. And then we've got the date here, so she's doing it on the 28th of January. Probably be cold outside, which, you know, the red coat will help. And then here's the group mode. So here it groups up the two scenes. You can't see the date because that's actually part of the folder, but when you compose it, you actually see the date. So we've got the first scene where here, and we've got the second scene here, and then if we added another scene and went back to the folder, it would show us that scene as well. And it's a good way of showing it all, but also giving you the chance to focus on one particular snippet at a time. Great if you get overwhelmed. And then you could add a new folder, and you would add a second chapter. And then this second chapter would need some scenes, which would be new text. Now, as you can see, it doesn't actually always automatically put it in the folder, but if you just dragged it, it would go into the folder. And you can start typing and do your new scene. If there's nothing on a scene, you can see that this little icon here is blank, but the second you start typing, it actually changes the icon to something that's typed, so you know if something's empty or not. Here you have templates. These templates are characters, places, and then you've got some other things as well, but these two are the templates, and you've got the template sheets. So this one, they automatically give you a setting one, a setting template, and a character template. Now personally I'll make my own, you can do that, I'll show you that later on, but if you wanted to create a character, you just click on this and you say, can I have a new character? So we have Little Red, and we need to change the name here to say this is Little Red's one. We have Red's mother, and because it's saved as a template, you just get the same one. So every time you add a new one, it's the exact same as the original. But as I say, I personally prefer to make my own. You can do the same with the locations. Here you can put some notes. I actually quite like the notes part, so you could put as a reminder to yourself that that's what's going to happen. And then again, just name it something that would make sense to you. So I'd imagine this would probably be the fifth plot in the novel. Here you can put some research that includes images. So insert image from file, and then just choose an image. Right, for example, I wouldn't mind showing you this, so I could just put that there. Might be good as well for character creation. So if we wanted an image for Red, we could put insert image from file, and I probably do have some images here. No, okay. I used to have some images of what I used to think the characters would look like, using sort of famous celebrities and stuff like that, or just, you know, having a quick kind of look to see if I could find anyone that I thought might look like them, but I actually don't have any saved. I must have got rid of those. But yeah, if you wanted to, you could have an image of a character. So let's just pretend that I did have one. Here we go, here's a sim of using magic. I tried to make a sort of mock cover of one of my novels. Didn't really turn out well using the Sims. So yeah, if you wanted to do that, you could do that as well. Same with the locations. And that's pretty much all you really need to know about getting started. I think so. We've got the inspector here, which also you can put notes as well here specific for a scene, and that would just be for that particular scene. So if we went here, it wouldn't be here. And that's just how to get started. There are many other things to show, such as the index cards and the line mode, the how to compose, inspector, which I will also show you at a later date, as well as how to make your own template sheet. In this tutorial we have covered choosing a project template, the binder templates that have been given, inserting a document for research and also for your templates, and how scenes and chapters are structured. In future videos, we'll be looking at making your own template, creating a template folder, customizing the appearance. It doesn't start off in dark mode. And we'll also be looking more at the binder, such as the things that can't be deleted. We'll look more into grouping things again, and how these can work to aid you. We'll look at changing the icons, how to use split screen in order to help you with drafts, looking at the corkboard and index cards, creating synopsis for your scenes, rearranging your project through the corkboard, how to use the line mode, which is the visual timeline, and we'll discuss where you can add images and where you cannot. We'll look at the focus mode, which is great if you get overwhelmed, and we'll look at ways you can manage your project. We will also look at exporting your project and also how to format it in Scrivener. And we'll also look at setting targets and having a look at estimated page count. All of that will be in a future video. If this is something that will interest you, please do. Please do like and subscribe. And if you would want to, also follow me on Patreon. My Patreon details are in the description.